All right, everyone. Welcome back to the Genius Exit Interviews. I am here with the incredible Pasha, coming straight from her clinic surgery room. Or not surgery room. She clarified this is not where she does surgery, but this is where she does so many other incredible things. Pasha, how are you doing?
I'm great. How are you today, Zach?
I'm good. So, did you fit me in between meetings? Am I literally are you about with someone? Are we wasting your time right now? Do you have lives to save at this moment?
No, thankfully, I did finish my morning clinic about 2 hours ago, but I was doing like my various other admin that we have to do, paperwork that we have to do as part of our job. Yes.
Okay, gotcha. So is this a fun part of your day or is this
Oh,
I
yes.
got it? Okay.
I would much rather do this than the paperwork that's waiting for me after this.
Okay, I'm so glad to hear that. Basha, I thought it was so much fun to watch you throughout the season. I remember your Instagram post that you'd made was just cracking me up where you were like, "Look at how amazing my headshot is. It's the only good thing I did this season." So I went in being like, all right, she's not too happy about how it went. But you won a main match, you won a death match. I mean, that's more than 90% of people on the Genius can say. So first of all, just congrats on that.
Thank you.
All right, I want to start just before the show. Okay, I remember in your interviews you said that you had just passed some of your board exams and you were like, all right, if I could do that, I can do the Genius. I want you to take me through how did you really end up on this show? Because it's obviously not like a 1-2 of oh, I just passed my exams. Let me do a reality TV show. So how did you actually find out about the Genius?
So a little bit of background of people that don't know about me. I have been working in the media as a doctor, but also media stuff. I've been doing this for like years now. And fun fact, I actually am a former Miss England. So I had a lot of media kind of interactions for many years now. So I'm quite used to sort of when a new show comes along, I think I do get like, especially like casting agents and things like that, they send it my way. And this was like similar sort of story. Someone sent it my way and said, oh, I think it'd be a really good fit for this. Do you want to do it? And I'm one of those people that really struggles to say no to things. So whether it's a good fit for me or not, I'm very much, yeah, whatever, let's try it and we'll see where that goes. And honestly, it was literally just like that. I can't remember in what order it happened. I can't remember if I had a chat with someone and then we had to do the sort of audition process or other way around. But yeah, I guess you could say I was headhunted for it. And this was
Mhm.
all the way back last year, November, December. And that was freshly after I'd just finished an exam. So you get that first of all,
Yeah.
with most medical exams, they just sort of consume you for like 6 months at a time. So when the exam's gone, you just think, what do I do now? I just have my normal
Mhm.
job, that's it. So I just had this like void in my like life. I'm like, oh, I'm not having to study like 4 hours a day on top of work. Fine, let me just go
Uh-huh.
do this show.
Sure, yeah, no, cosmically. So were you familiar with the Korean show at all? Did you check it out
No,
before you went on? No? Okay.
I was actually advised that I should. I
Mhm.
probably tuned in for about 10 seconds. It looked too hard. So I was like, I can't even watch that. I can't even get myself to watch this.
Right, you're
I
like, I can't
concentrate.
even the links are confusing. I don't even know where to watch it.
Yeah. Exactly. But I was like, if I watch it, I might change my mind. So I'm not going to. And
Okay.
yeah.
Mhm. No, that's a very fair point, honestly. So we're now in the house, okay? So episode 1, you get in there. You're obviously part of this big majority alliance that targets Paul. Uh, but what was most interesting for me with you in that episode was specifically once Paul had already been decided for the death match, you then go to Paul with your note and you decide hey, you should really be targeting India, who's in my group. Um, can you tell me why specifically were you so dead set on it really should be India going into the death match here?
I think there were some strong characters in that group, first of all. I think I just, again, you use the words cosmically.
Mhm.
ended up somehow in that room, purely probably because the other group had probably gone elsewhere, and I ended up on this group just by default or something. And India has, you know, a presence about her. She really did. And in that group, besides Scott and Charlotte, which, by the way, Charlotte initially wasn't really being very sort of vocal. She is quite a dark horse in that way. But actually, I could tell that those two will end up saving each other. That's just how things were going to go. And the other two, I didn't really know very well. First of all, Amanfi, I hadn't really been that vocal in that moment. Neither had Ken. Ken was very low profile, and you've seen that in the last few episodes.
Yes.
He says so little for a comedian. And I was like, I mean, I will say I made more jokes and made more people laugh on that show whilst I was there. They probably cut out that, but that was kind of my little input, if I have to say that. But those two, they were sort of less vocal, whereas India, you know, the way she presents herself, she seemed like she seemed easier for me to sort of see as a threat, I suppose. The other two didn't. In terms of Scott and Charlotte, I knew I couldn't touch them really, and I knew that it wasn't going to change the outcome to even try to target them anyway. They were going to be saved. So, and also I seem to think that I hadn't tipped off Paul at that point yet, but I might be wrong with the timeline, because I think the first round some of us tipped him off, and then the second round some others of us tipped him off, which the second half I think was Amanfi, myself, and Ken, but again I can't remember the exact order. And I seem to remember Ken said that he didn't tip Paul off because he didn't need to use it, but then in the edit it looks like he does also tip him off. So I don't know what happened there.
So just full hindsight, like perfect knowledge now. In that first episode, what do you do to make sure that Paul doesn't pick you for that death match?
I think I should have been a little bit more backing myself a bit more. It takes you a while to sort of get to grips with it. First of all, I said already when I entered that I didn't play games. So if you're not from that background, it takes you a little while to understand just how to do this whole thing. Also, I hadn't watched the show. I don't even watch game shows really, personally. So
you're a doctor. You've got too much important stuff to do. Like, this is for, people like me and Ben and Ken who have all the time in the world to watch game shows.
Maybe, but I mean, even if I wasn't doing my work, I just have very different, varied interests, which are very different, basically. But in general, I think my main thing was I wish I had sort of backed myself and actually asked for, and been a bit more sort of blunt and asked for forgiveness, or asked for to not be picked and things like that. And I don't remember if I did, because I feel like in episode 1, they cut out the bit that I might have tried to back myself and tried to like get out of the situation of like Paul picking me. But my memory is also kind of, I can't remember what actually happened, because obviously it's skewed by having watched the show as well.
Okay, yeah, no problem at all. It's I believe it was like over a year ago now, so
yeah,
hard to remember. Okay, let's get into episodes 2 and 3, and specifically I want to talk with episode 2 about Benjamin. You obviously join his bubble strategy almost instantly. I guess I'm most interested in your relationship here with Benjamin, because episode 1, you're on the winning side and you kind of like leave him out a little bit. Episode 2, he then has the winning strategy and you're very much in that with him. Then episode 3, he has the winning strategy and he's like, we don't need to work with her. It's fine. Like, it's actually good if she gets taken to the death match. So can you tell me, like, what was that relationship with him like, and why do you think it kind of fell apart at the end?
So my strategy the whole time was, if at all, was I want to do the least work. I want to use my brain the least here until I absolutely have to, because that's who I am in real life as well, first of all. If something is first of all, as I've said already, games are not my thing. However, I was in there, and it's a shame that they didn't lighten up and show the vulnerabilities of people, and actually some of the really like strong connections that were building up behind the scenes. And well, behind the scenes, I say behind the scenes, but it was being filmed the whole way. But my idea was I wanted to be like this glue kind of person who just brings everyone together and has a good relationship with everyone, and we have a good time together. So, I had so much of like laughter and jokes with people. So to me, it was a case of, I need to make sure that I latch onto someone and let them do the hard work so I don't have to. And as long as I can just coast my way through the, as many episodes until I absolutely don't have to, that was my main thing. With episode 3, I don't think it was even a case of Ben was, it was clear that he was kind of going everywhere, and there was no exclusivity really with him. And even with whatever he felt was his exclusive group, he was unsure even until the very last minute about who was going to be in his exclusive circle. He ticked off a lot of people in that episode. So I think I felt the same as everybody else, that like, is Ben using us or are we using him? Yeah.
So had Ben ever came to you for that episode and specifically said the target is Ken? Were you aware of that?
Yeah.
Okay. Who was aware of that? Was it everyone but Ken?
I believe so. And I believe I still did speak to Ken. I actually did say to him and Amanfi that there's a possibility that you guys are targets here. So prepare for that. I remember having a very sort of candid conversation with Amanfi in particular about sort of, being aware of the fact that people are doing this behind his back, because Ben gave the inclination that it was either going to be Amanfi or Ken. I keep getting confused with those names.
Yeah.
And also with Ken, I remember feeling this very visceral feeling of empathy with him, because he was a quiet person, but there was some clear sort of like large majority, like it was the girls and Ben, and then there were some other stragglers. It felt like Bedalia felt like a straggler, but actually he wasn't. He was clearly playing with Ben, which wasn't apparent to me while I was there. And I had a chat with Ken about bullying and his experience about if he had ever experienced bullying and that sort of thing. So I had these like quite deep chats with people, and that was in order to secure my relationship with them. I had a really deep chat with Alison that morning as well about her, because she was also one of the people I hadn't talked very much. So I went and spoke to loads of people in the show that I hadn't spoken to. And I didn't speak about the game at all. I actually got to know them. I actually asked about their history outside of the show, because that for me was like the way in to their heart, really.
Yeah, no, that makes total sense. So I guess I want to just stick on Ken a little bit, because I totally understand the feeling of isolation and all that. So Ken the whole time had not heard a name and was kind of going around and being like, so no one else has heard a name. Ben's just not giving us a name, and everyone was kind of lying to him, right? Okay, just
I
making
could
sure
feel that. I feel like there was an air. First of all, everybody in that episode felt they were being played by Ben. First of all, so it wasn't exactly the case that it was going to be all of us against Ken. It wasn't that clear, but I think we all could sense that Ken was being singled out, and he himself could sense it. So I just remember the kind of sensing that energy from him as well, that the feeling, I mean, they don't show it very well, but it is quite an emotional thing as well, being stuck in a group and feeling like you're singled out, especially if you've seen from the beginning, Ken hasn't really formed those strong bonds with anybody yet. So, at least some of us could like rely on each other and lean into each other at an emotional level, but I didn't feel like Ken had that somebody. So I remember feeling this like, almost like wanted to protect him in a way. He didn't need protection.
Okay, I have a picture of the cast up right now. By the way, I will say your headshot, without question, the best one. It makes sense that you won. Which competition did you say that you won?
Miss England. That was
Miss
many years
England.
ago, though.
No,
Yeah.
it totally tracks. Can you rank all of the contestants for that game specifically from like in terms of trying to solve this code? I just want to know for like my own sense, who was like the least interested in solving the code to like the most like fighting, like begging, wanting to solve it there.
Okay. I need to
If
see the
it's it,
pictures. Have we got the
if it's
pictures?
easier for you, I can just like name the people and you can tell me either like really wanted to solve it, was 50-50, or like had no interest in solving it. I'll just give you the names, okay?
Okay. Yeah. Go for it.
Uh,
Oh,
in India.
she's up there. She was definitely feeling like this urge. I could say, but again, like watching it back, I could see that. But she was part of that group that were feeling a bit of like mistrust with Ben.
Hmm.
Yeah. So I would. Oh, I don't even know where to put it. Shall we say? Are we saying one as
I think
in
we could
least
just do.
interested?
I think we could just do like interested, middle, not interested. Like we can do it like
Oh,
tiers.
okay. Sure, sure, sure.
So
I think India, yes, she was interested.
Charlotte.
Oh, yes, very interested. But equally, she do you mean like was she playing, or do you
No,
mean
not
that she
like
was interested to just do the puzzle
I'm
itself?
more so curious, like, because for Charlotte, it seemed like she had no interest in solving the puzzle. And I guess Charlotte and Bedalia are like the bad examples because those are the two who were like really in with Ben. But yeah, so I got the sense that neither of them were really interested in solving the puzzle. I'm more interested in the ones who are like a little bit more on the outs, a little bit more. So I'll skip Charlotte and Bedalia. But Allison, was she like
Oh,
Allison
up
trying to
there.
solve it
Yeah,
at
she
all?
was.
Yeah.
I think in the beginning, I feel like we swapped some of the clues,
Uh huh.
and there was a conversation that was had, at least if my memory serves, where they were talking about how excited they were trying. So I think Alison and Amanfi were probably up there, followed by Bex and
Mm-hmm.
Indy, and then followed by everybody else. I mean, I probably should put myself a bit up there. I was so on the fence about whether I wanted to bother with it or not, because I did not think it was going to change the outcome. So I did not want to waste my energy doing something that wasn't going to change the outcome.
Well, that's what I was then gonna ask. If like all these people are like up there wanting to solve it, why did no one solve it? Ben can only take one person to the death match. Like, it would have gone from one of you or two of you guys going to the death match to one of them going to the death match.
I think we were not even thinking as, I mean, I'm not going to be able to speak for everybody, but I think there was a
Mhm.
collective feeling that it didn't matter about whether or not Ben was going to pick us for the death match or to save us, but we knew we didn't really want to break that alliance with Ben by crossing him. He
Mhm.
was so into this game, and he
Oh
was
yeah.
so into every single game thus far. He was, I mean, it was clear that he was the most experienced in this whole gameplay thing, or he made that very obvious
Mhm.
outwardly. So I think it was more about that, really. And also, you don't want to be an immediate target on the day. You might
Mhm.
not be safe. You don't want to be an immediate target on the day, but you don't want to also then be on Ben's sort of naughty list either long term. So
Right,
I
yeah.
think that's what it was.
It would have involved like some real unionization from the people at the bottom to basically say like we're all going against you, Ben. Like you can't pick all of us. But you're right, if it's just one person trying to solve it, and no one wants to be the one person that like singles themselves out. If let's say that instead of Ken, you had been chosen by Benjamin there, um,
Mm.
who do you then select for the death match?
Well, I I actually don't think I would have ever been picked for a death match.
Uh-huh.
That's my thing, that I would have never actually been picked for a death match by the group itself. I would have probably
Mhm.
always been picked by the deathmatch candidate. That's my theory because it happened even at my audition.
Oh yeah.
And yes.
Your
I didn't get.
destiny. You talk about like the universe sending you the sign. You were always meant for the death match.
Believe it or not, and I actually knew that it was going to be Ken who was going to pick me because that morning I had stumbled upon Ken. Who am I talking about? Ken's comedy.
It was a year ago.
Yeah, no, but their names are confusing.
Yeah.
Ken's comedy little
His posts, LinkedIn's,
yeah, something. We didn't have our phones on us, by the way, but this was on BBC radio or something, and it was here that he was then talking about jokingly about his accolades. And it was that morning that I'd stumbled upon that, and it kind of dawned on me that, oh wow, this guy is so smart. At some point, no matter how far I get in the game, I will have to face him. So I'm actually glad that it was him that I had to face, because it was almost a case of I had somehow manifested it to happen. But if you ask me who would I have picked, Bex, 100%.
Okay. And what was that? What was the reasoning for that? You just felt like you had the best chance of winning?
Oh, I wanted to take Bex all the way to the top with me so that I could go, not that would have ever happened, but so that I could beat her at a death match, because I knew I could.
Gotcha. Okay, that makes sense. So leaving the game, who were you most rooting for, and who was like your biggest enemy? Most
Ken, I was
for
rooting
Ken.
for him. Yes.
And who was the
100%.
person that you were like, I hope they're out next?
Not anybody in particular that I wanted out next, but obviously I think in that moment I was the angriest at Ben, if anything. But yeah, I would say, yeah, Ben and Bedalia, I suppose, yes. I think Bedalia surprised me in the way that he had been picked by Ben, because I just didn't see that he had put anything into the show at all so far. And I just didn't know what at all I now see why Ben did pick him, because Ben saw him as a good ally to win against, essentially. And you want to, if at all, you want to keep some of the weaker players longer in the game and get rid of the stronger players, because that just increases and improves your chances of winning against them. So I see that Bedalia was, Ben's little puppy. Yeah. So I suppose,
that makes a lot of sense. All right. Final question. You have kind of said before that like you're not a gamer. You haven't you're a super smart person. You've passed all your boards, but like when it comes to games, that's not your thing. Has playing the Genius at all opened you up to games in any way, whether it's like social strategy games or board games or I don't know, any types of games, or did you walk away from this being like, not for me?
Surprisingly, actually, Ken has organized some board game meetups since we've all finished and wrapped up. And initially, I actually did attend a few of his games, sort of little meetups. Thankfully, he always picked some very simple games. There wasn't a lot of strategy making involved in that. And I like that. I actually like the lightheartedness of the games. I don't feel like anything, in my opinion, just because I think I just have such a serious life and I've got so many things that I do. I like the recreational kind of relaxation element of a game. I could never do a game just for the seriousness of it, really. I would do it for fun, and I like it when it's fun, competitive, simple. I think the simplest games are the best games, really.
Yeah, you're not in for one of Ken's 3-hour Blood on the Clock Tower games.
No way. I'm a rounders on the field. I don't know if you know what rounders is. Do you know what rounders is?
No, I do not. I know.
Okay, it's baseball for kids.
Oh, baseball. You should have said less. Oh my God, I got that one easy.
Yeah, I'm a sporty girl, so I'm into that type of games, really. Like simple kiddie games works for me.
Any other reality show, you could have gotten the sporty games. This was the only one you weren't going to get that.
Well, I'm not. I like sports, but I don't think I'm even good at that.
You see, when I did my show, I was like, I do not like the sporty games. I don't want to do anything that's like outside, and then I chose Survivor, and I'm outside the entire
Oh,
time.
okay.
Yeah,
Is
so
that does that
I
involve sporty games?
it's only sporty games. So I
Oh,
know exactly
okay.
what you mean when you like sign up for something and you're kind of looking around and you're like, why did I choose this? Like, why
Yes,
did
I
I?
know. I mean, I'm still confused why they picked me at all for the cast. So,
Uh-huh.
I mean, here we are.
Well, I'm not confused. You were so great on this season. So much fun to interview. Thank you, Pasha, so much for joining us. And please go back to saving lives right now. Like, stop
I'll
with
be
the
saving
interview. Stop.
paperwork.
Oh, okay.
But thank you.
All right. I appreciate you so much. And thank you all for listening. And until next time, next week, because obviously the schedule has changed. So we'll see you all on
Absolutely.
Wednesday. Bye.
Thank you.
This is RHAP. We know reality TV.